For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
Welcome to the ET Stand Podcast, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast. The Sharks go down 20 points to 6 against the Canterbury Bulldogs. Bit of a bummer, this one. I'm actually coming to you live from Brighton in the UK, as I've just witnessed my dear beloved other love, Nottingham Forest, win an FA Cup quarter-final. So whilst that was a high, I'm joined by my dear friend Franko, who doesn't have the same high from another sport to cheer him up. You were at Shark Park last night, Franko. Mate, what did you make of the match?
Yeah, mate, I think there was a lot of excitement there for the game. Obviously, Sharkies doing well. You can see from our previous podcast, none of us tipped the Bulldogs to win, so high expectations from the crowd. As expected, healthy showing from Bulldog supporters, which sort of kept the cheers going. Wet weather, not a great crowd, but I think it was 11,000 was called over the announcement. But yeah, there were certainly some people starting to leave early towards the end there and put a bit of a dampener on the night.
Well, we're getting trolled by by a Bulldogs fan already. Obrahar is in the comments saying Dogs of War and Bronson Sherry, the Sharks goat. I think we've already got a Sharks goat in Goat Street. But look, the Doggies fans, good luck to them. I did the opposition fan preview and said the Doggies hadn't been relevant for a few years. A bit of tongue in cheek and copped a bit of stick back from it. So the Dogs fans will enjoy that one, mate. But did the Sharks just lose that because of injuries, or did the Doggies beat us, Franko?
Yeah, no, it's certainly not injuries. We were.
It doesn't help though.
Doesn't help. But I mean, you know, there's two lines of thought there, I guess, when you're talking injuries. Are you referring to the injuries leading up to the match with, you know, Hazelton dropping out and Hamlin-Uele not being available, or are you referring to the in-game injuries with?
I'm referring more to the
Calakai
in-game ones, because the in-game ones is that you just see it time and time again. If you cop a couple of injuries, it's very difficult to win.
I would look. I don't think it is, to be fair. We were losing that match before that happened. The Dogs were full of energy, full of running. They seemed to be, you know, I've seen in the press the good old ambush line being thrown out, and you know what? It's probably not far wrong. They really did attack us hard, and we were a bit off the pace. We're a bit lackluster. So instead of saying, you know, was it injuries that got us, not to make excuses for the Sharks, but there's almost that question mark of did the fatigue from all that travel and the illness get us a week later than we expected it. So, you know, sort of thought that would be hitting us against Souths, but we performed really well. So maybe that was you know, like I said, a bit of hangover, a bit of a week late that sort of started to hit us. But ultimately, no, the Dogs beat us, which is, you know, I guess a testament to them. They've got their own injury concerns, and also, I suppose, you know, as we sort of said on our preview episode, they struggled to beat the Eels, or struggled to put points on the Eels. So off the back of that, you know, it was, we weren't really expecting much from them, at least in terms of struggling over the scorekeeper. But they got 20 points on us. So, you know, for Sharks that are generally considered a strong defensive unit, that was a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, so I think you can't underestimate the impact of the injuries. Look, if you want to join us on the show, you can join us by clicking on that link, the StreamYard link there, and you can join us in the show and have your say. But we're going to get Franko to take us through what we call his Franko Files, where he takes us through the key moments in the match. And so looking forward to that one. And then also get your comments into the comments of the page as well, if you've got any questions or thoughts on what you thought happened during the match. And apologies for us not getting live straight after the full time. It's the first time we've ever done a debrief post the next day, isn't it, Franco? So I guess we're about to find out whether this works or not. So let us know whether you think we're...
Let me paint a picture of this recording session. We normally go live sometime between the final siren and about 80 minutes after, depending on when the crew can get ready, home versus away games and the time slot of our particular game. In this instance, things didn't work out. We had some unavailabilities, and here we are recording 9 a.m. on a bleak Sunday morning, rambling what it feels like into the abyss. Thinking there might be a few Sharks fans who are either nursing beds or not wanting to get up for it because the steam of wanting to vent is maybe just a little bit less at this stage of the day.
Well, just a little less painful, or maybe they've drunk their sorrows away and they've already decided that they've had enough and we move on to next week.
Yeah, all of that. We'll see. This will probably be one of those episodes that definitely is more viewership on the delayed listening or one of our audio channels. I don't think this is one that we're going to get too many people live on a Sunday morning, but we're not doing too bad with the crew we've got here. So welcome joining us on a Sunday morning. We do appreciate your listening.
All right, well, g'day to everyone. Please do get involved in the comments and answer this question for me. What do you think went wrong? All right, Franco, let's go through the Franco files. Give us the rundown of the match. What were the key moments?
All right, matey. In the 10th minute, a play the ball 5 out from our line sees the Bulldogs go left. Haywood gets a face ball across to Preston, who juggles it but manages to squeeze between Nico and Ramian to score.
No hint of a knock on there, Franco.
Nah, I didn't think so. It looked fine to me. Really, it was... I can't. No, that was a good try. We were in two minds a little bit there, which is sort of what you want to do with one of those face balls, and it was well deserved. So look, just off to a slow start, which, as we found out, continued for the rest of the game. In the 31st minute, it's our turn for a 5 out left side play. Brayley to Trindle linking up with Hines. Has Wilton running in on a decoy with the ball going out the back to Iro, who slices straight through, barely untouched to score. That was pretty nice, and certainly you could see a bit of relief on the players' faces. So I think that sort of shows a bit of the mental attitude there of that game. I reckon they would have thought we should have been much more in front by this stage. So yeah, thanks to Crichton missing his kick, we're up by 2. And spoilers, we don't trouble the scorer after this.
No, we don't.
In the 36th minute, it sees the Dogs tormenting our right edge with a 3-on-1, and Kennedy's able to reach out and knock the pass down, saving probably a certain try. He was almost able to regather, and at which point, who knows what would have happened, but still, we'll take the save and the desperation play over the alternative. So I think that was really good from Kennedy, got in the right spot. Those sorts of things are a bit of a lottery, but we managed to stop one there. So well done, mate.
He's in good form, Kennedy.
He is in good form. He's doing really well.
Is he the bright spot coming out of these first 4 weeks then?
Certainly, I would say so. He's really sort of, I guess, showing that he's got the effort in. He's had a good off season, and is really sort of barking around the field. So he's starting to be that mature leadership sort of player that you want to see in a player that's been at the club for as long as he has, especially considering he came through the grades. So yeah, I think he's certainly trying to prove his worth for the club, and I think he's doing a good job. Like others, he didn't have a great game tonight, but I think it was one of the better ones when you look across the park. So yeah, certainly not a bad one.
I think out of shocker. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Right, let's keep pushing on.
Alrighty. 2 minutes left in the first half. Bulldogs set play has Ramian rushing out and Stone Street following. They both end up behind the offensive line, and Preston gets the ball outright to Sherry, who scores untouched. This one was a bit ugly, to be honest, but it was a a nice set play. And I guess we just got to misread it, and the playmakers had a few options to pick and choose what they wanted to do. I think, you know, don't want to put the blame on Rami in here, but the rushing out, he kind of missed his target in that one. So that left us a bit exposed, which was unfortunate. And then after that, about 20 seconds left in the half, Bulldogs attacking again has Sherry getting around Ramian, who is still able to make the tackle, but Sherry offloads to Montoya, who runs 20 to score. However, it is deemed a no try as Sherry appears to interfere with Stone Street as he's being tackled. So yeah, that wasn't great. Then at halftime, Iro stays off due to a hamstring issue, which puts Atkinson on in his place. So we don't see Iro for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. And then Talakai was also off, wasn't he? Talakai lasted, what, 3 minutes?
Yeah, Talakai was off. Yeah, only got 3 minutes. Only saw 3 minutes of the game. HIA, bit of a head knock. Although to be fair, at the ground on the big TV, it didn't look like it was a head knock. It looked more, I guess, like whiplash from chest contact. But still, I'll have to rewatch the game as I normally do and digest it all. But ultimately, yeah, he failed his HIA and didn't come back. So yeah, 1 run, 3 minutes. So not great for the bench. So in the second half, yeah, 45th minute, Mulatalo defuses a bomb, but he's getting dragged in goal. He offloads to Kennedy, who, although he's in the field of play, instead of diving to the ground, decides to cut back in. He gets mauled and dragged in goal. We then do a short dropout, and the Dogs attack Atkinson's edge, where there's a bit of hesitation from our guys, and Crichton skips and jumps his way in between Atkinson and Ronaldo. Obviously, you know, a combination that I don't know how much they practiced defense there as a unit, but it just looked a little bit out of whack. And yeah, Crichton was able to get through pretty easily, and coincidentally bombs the ball outside of the grandstand into Captain Cook Drive. So down 1 ball and down 2 players.
Weren't catching that one yourself, Franko.
Wasn't catching that one, mate. There might have even been some people jumping the fence into the golf course to see if it's over there. It went so high. But yeah, that ball was gone. In the 62nd minute, after a glut of possession, in part by a couple of high ball drops from Mulatalo, it has Sherry cutting back in and running hard close to the line. Kennedy slips off this tackle, and Confuci and Brayley are carried over the line for him to score. So big, strong run from Sherry. Obviously, you know, we had the Dogs commentator saying that Sherry's the Sharks' GOAT. Look, his talent and his skill was never in question. He's a good player. He's strong. He's fast. Obviously, he did something wrong, and we weren't able to hang on to him. And I feel as though nor should we have hung on to him, especially with the tarnish of our history. And the Dogs giving him that second chance. Yeah, it was always going to be someone. Someone was going to give him a second chance. It was just never going to be us. And good luck to him for having a good career. So no booing from me or ill will. I think he had a good game, and I think it's great to see him sort of bounce back the way he is. It's a shame it was against us, though.
Yeah, we certainly, I think, want Bronson Cherry to do well. What was the reaction from the Shark Park crowd to Bronson Cherry, Franko?
There were some boos, but it wasn't you know, the traditional "we hate this player, so we're booing him every time he gets the ball." There were a couple of questionable scenarios that he was involved in that as you can imagine, would have got boos anyway, but because it was Sherry, got a little bit of an extra boo from some people, which was, I think, in fairness, a bit of fun. Like I said, I don't think many people gave him a bit of a boo for the sake of it. Obviously, there would have been some in a crowd of 11,000, but it was sort of taken well. I think I saw him again. I'll have to rewatch, but I think after one of the tries, it looked like he tried to stick the finger up and silence the crowd, which it's easy to do when you're 18,
Winning.
14 points up. Yeah. So yeah, it's fine, I guess. And just sort of plays into that the heroes and villains of the game. So yeah,
Making him one of
no
those.
ill will. Yeah, and then in the last minute of the game, Tupanua flattens Trindle and is sent to the bin, which is obviously no use to us. But will probably have something to do with the judiciary, and I don't think Trindle was hurt by it, except for maybe getting a bit winded. So the Dogs win 20-6 with Hines 1 from 1 and Crichton 2 from 4. It's probably worth mentioning Crichton's goal kicking. Normally a pretty impressive goal kicker. Missing those first 2 goals, I think, may have given us a little bit of false hope there at around half time and early chunk of the second half with looking at the scoreboard and seeing we're not too far behind. Had he got those extra 4 points, it might have either given fans or the team a bit of a wake up that they are actually, not performing as well as they should have.
All right. So are there any bright spots coming out of this, Franko, at all? Fanua Blake's meters were high yet again.
Yeah, Fanua Blake certainly performed well in terms of his usual output. He had a heap of minutes. Obviously having 2 off the bench doesn't help, but he played 70 minutes, which is
71 minutes is a lot.
It's a lot for a prop, especially a player. We assumed the conditioning was part of it. Was told that he wouldn't be playing big minutes coming to the Sharks because he doesn't need to, unlike he's needed to at the Warriors. So
and McKinnon 75 minutes.
Yeah.
I just don't think when you have those sort of outcomes from your forwards were expected to play 50 minutes, it just changes the complexion of the match. You're just going to always struggle.
Yeah, and it's not just, I guess in this instance, it's not just Euro going off, because obviously that doesn't impact the props or the engine room, but in addition to Talakai going off, Rudolph was sent off for a HIA. Yes, he passed it, but the fact that he was off for 10 minutes when he was probably supposed to be on and running meant those 10 minutes ish go to someone else, and your balance is thrown out a little bit there. Bit of an interesting conundrum. No slight on Rudolph, because I felt he had a pretty good game actually. He had 3 good stints and I thought was fairly impressive. But his HIA,
9 runs for 73 meters is not terrible.
Not
First
especially
contact meters is pretty good.
It's his first game of the season, back from shoulder surgery. So yeah, I thought he did really well.
0 errors on Toby Rudolph's game.
Yep.
Can I ask you, speaking of errors, Franko?
Yeah.
Ronaldo Mulatalo's got 6 errors, 5 handling errors on his stat sheet. Is it as bad as the stat sheet reads?
No, I don't think it is. It's. I'm sure he doesn't have a lot of fans this morning. There's a lot of people that are quick to criticize and quick to judge, but he was high intensity, high effort. He was in a lot of things. He was pushing a lot, maybe a little bit too much. But if you think, what was it? A few of those errors were dropping high catches. It's just one of those games where you've got the yips and maybe your confidence is a bit down under the high ball. So, that inflates his error count. He had a pretty good game. Aside, I might be on my own saying that, but at the ground, watching him run around, not through the lens of a camera, he was doing a lot of stuff. And he was always inside looking to do work, to take the pressure off the forwards, which is known to do, right? But it's certainly noticeable that he's doing it a lot more than, say, your Stone Street or your Eero. He's in there. He's doing not only coming out of our end, but he's sort of getting in there at other parts of the field as well. So, yeah, I wouldn't focus too closely on those 6 errors. It is certainly glaring on a stats sheet. And that try that I mentioned where the Bulldogs got set after set after set, there were certainly groans in the crowd when he dropped another one. I think there was the grubber that came through. I'm trying to think who it was. They stuck their foot out, which then also gave them another 6 again. So it wasn't just him, but yeah, it was, he hangs on to one of those. Bulldogs are probably at least 1 try less. And, who knows where the game goes from there. But I think that's a bit harsh, and he did have a good game.
All right, we'll excuse, and he does so well for us so many other weeks, so we'll excuse any blemishes. We'll just quickly say, as we're halfway through the show, or maybe a little bit past halfway, do give us a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel and finding us for the very first time. We've got a whole bunch of you in here, but only 1 like, Franco. So surely we can get a couple more likes, guys, to help Sharks fans learn about the algorithm of YouTube and Facebook that helps them discover our stuff. So give us a like and subscribe. And then also just a shout out to our sponsors of this episode, the guys at Solve Accounting. If you're looking for bookkeeping or anything like that from a service for your small to medium business, then the Solve Accounting guys can help you. They certainly wouldn't have been busy counting any Sharks points or tries or anything this week. So no funny pun for them. We're a little bit more subdued on the Solve Accounting this week. Franco, your thoughts on where the Sharks turn to from here next week against the Raiders? Can be a bogey team, a little bit difficult of trip. It's a lot of travelling for the Sharks lately.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things where you feel you want to say just brush it off and come back, but it's not going to be as simple as that. We'll need to keep an eye on what Iro's hamstring is doing, because there's likely to be a reshuffle there.
Oh no.
Yeah, correct.
Oh no.
Correct.
You know what it means.
You know what it means.
If Iro's injured, where are you, Paul?
We're gonna need to, if he's down, if he's out for a couple of rounds.
What are the Sharks going to do at centre?
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't think Talakai's got the fitness to play centre.
No, I mean, I think he does. I've said it before, and so I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't back myself up there. I'll say it again. I feel as though in a match, if we have an injury to an outside back, he can be our utility on the bench that comes and plays in at centre. I think done in a pinch, he wouldn't do worse than what we saw Atkinson do today. That said, I think naming him at centre at this stage is probably a bit of a risk. And credit where credit's due, it's probably because Hiroti is performing so well in the Jets. He wouldn't be a bad call-up, right? He hasn't let us down the last couple of years when he's called up. Yes, sure, it's mainly been in the wing, but he's had a centre match. I think he'd be a fine call-up. I don't think he would let us down. He's got experience. So, he's worked with Stone Street, who's also from the Jets. So yeah, it'd be fine. I think calling Hiroti up would be probably a good call. Leaves the bench intact, and maybe not the same meters coming out. Although he has been getting some good meters in the Jets. Bit of a different player to Iro, but I think he would do well for us in first.
There were some pretty fired up Sharks fans wanting to jump online and chat to us last night when we weren't live straight after full time. One of the things that did come up was the repeated Sharks second half fade outs, Franco.
Yes.
Seen a little bit of a return of that. Is that back? Is that a problem Fitzy should be worried about? Or are we, again, just dealing with fatigue in Las Vegas and all those annoying fun things?
Yeah, look, the coaching staff would know better than I would. I don't know if they would be concerned about it. I, as a fan, who can't see behind the curtains, I'm certainly worried about it. I think, for a couple of seasons there, the second half fade outs were real. And last year, you kind of felt as though we'd rectified that. It wasn't completely resolved, because the first half of the season we were still a bit dodgy there, and maybe that's all it is, just first half of the season. And as you said, could also be all the travel we've got plus the illness. But yeah, look, we came out firing against the Rabbitohs last week, and second half wasn't that crash hot. And then this week, look, around the ground, talking to some people walking off, a lot of people thought that the first half would have just been forgotten about, only 2 points in it, and then second half come out and be the team that we know we are and put them to the sword. But that second half wasn't great. We sort of a lot of silly plays, whether it comes from fatigue or maybe expecting to do better and wanting to chase points. I don't know, but it wasn't a good look. We had a lot of lateral movement there with silly plays. People throwing Hail Mary balls. Should have definitely tried to go hard up the middle and outmuscle them. Even with Tempest Flair, we haven't spoken about Marnie and his shoulder to Atkinson's head, but even with that hit, right, we still went wide. AFB and Kafusi were desperate for the ball, full of running. Maybe it was good we didn't give it to AFB since he gave away a penalty with possession, but still, not enough hard straight running, not enough keeping the guys honest. It was certainly one of those ones where we just kept going wide, and it was just a big question mark as to why we were doing it. Our plays looked erratic. Certainly there was an anecdotal story from you coming back from Vegas where you were asked what's wrong with our attack. Well, last night's attack wasn't looking great. It wasn't a show of confidence that we were in our positions doing what we needed to do. So yeah.
All right. Well, friend of the show, Jaden, has joined. I don't think he was gonna miss his chance to come on. I did an opposition fan preview with Jaden, which got a whole bunch of views and also had me copping a bit of shtick. So we're going to bring Jaden in. Now, I'm going to have to fix up this layout because I don't have the 3-person layout. So I'll bring Jaden in on the 4-person layout and just say good day to you, Jaden, mate. Welcome to the show. You would have had a particularly good evening last night, mate.
I had a fantastic night. Very happy with the way that went. Bulldogs coming up with a very nice win.
Mate, and you even picked the first try scorer, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty good prediction. The game went as good as I could have hoped.
Basically, everything you said would happened.
Yeah, sorry.
So that's going to make you pretty happy. I'm just fixing.
Nate, Preston was pretty awesome last night. So if you picked him as first try scorer, he was barnstorming. He had a really good game.
There we go. Got you fixed. You there?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, he was good. Your boy Preston, Jaden, he was good, wasn't he?
He's a very good player. Yeah. That they moved him to the left edge from the right side. Ooh, I think is that Franko's mic maybe. Yeah, right. I'm hearing everything twice. Sorry, I'm struggling. So that they moved Preston down over to that left edge, and that sort of showed that left edge was going to be our strike side. And Bailey Hayward really turned it on. My opinion, Jacob Preston is a future New South Wales Blue defensively, and the way that he runs lines is a very quality player. And sort of last night, everyone else got to see a bit of what he's about.
What do you make of the Sharks, Jaden?
I think they played pretty well for the first half. Limited our attack a bit. We done well they built plenty of pressure on us. It was more when they got to our try line, they couldn't break us. We spent a lot of the first half in our own end, building the pressure, just couldn't get it through. But yeah, the second half was I think it had a lot to do with the injuries that they lost the rotation and started getting some tired middle forwards. I think Atkinson done fairly well defending out wide. He had the one poor effort where Critter scored his try, but I think, those injuries in the middle of the field really hurt him.
You worried about the judiciary, Jaden?
It's a tough one. We're already so smashed with injuries that if we lose any more, it's hurt. Satili one, that was a bit of a silly error that I'm not very happy about. So I could definitely see something happening there. Reed Marnie's one, I don't think should be too much, but if he's injured, Bailey Hayward's supposed to be our backup 9. He's playing 6 right now, so that would definitely hurt us. Wait and see what happens there.
I'll just say, just getting a note here from 121 saying the audio is a little bit bad. That could be me, Franco. So I'll let you run a little bit more of the questions as I'm live from Brighton in the UK. So take over for a little bit, Franco.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I mean, you sound good to me. Just a bit of background noise. If that's the bad audio, apologies. 12 from 121. But Jaden said he was having trouble hearing me, so maybe it's me. That said, mate, I think you mentioned Sherry, the goat. Yeah, you're glad he's there. He's performing well. He could be a bit of a New South Wales bolter as well.
Yeah, I'm stoked with him. He came over from the Roosters in 2023 was his first year. Sort of come out of nowhere. Nobody really knew who he was. Bulldogs fans didn't know him until the end of the trials, and then got promoted straight into the starting side and hasn't turned back. His strongest part of his game is his defense. Rarely misses a tackle, puts plenty of pressure on the opposition, but he's very good with the ball. He grew up as a half, so he's got some pretty good ball skills, as we've seen with the first Bronson Cherry try. But he's a big boy, runs a very strong one, and very good at getting out of our own end as well.
Yeah.
Jaden, I was just going to say that you are on a Sharks podcast, mate. So we'll just ask you one last question. Who stood out for you for the Sharks, and what do you think the Sharks can look forward to for the rest of the season based on what you saw?
Yeah, Adam Fanua-Blake absolutely stood up, but he wasn't as damaging as I thought he would be. He got through plenty of work, put plenty of pressure on the defense, but I was pretty happy with the way that our middles limited him from starting that second phase play close to the try line. We've done really well on him. That was what I was most worried about. I thought Mulatalo had a pretty good game. He put plenty of pressure on us down that edge on Blake Wilson. The short dropouts, a lot of them didn't come off, but he had plenty of effort plays. And then Nico had his moments. He didn't take the game as much as you would hope from your half, but I don't think he had any poor plays. It was sort of across the board. There was a lot of players that played well, maybe just not the players really taking the moments when they had the chances.
All right, perfect. All right, Jaden. Well, thanks for coming in, mate. We will see you again when the Sharks play the Bulldogs next. It was fun having you in joining us on the show. So we will bid you farewell and say congratulations and well done. Bulldogs 4 from 4. Certainly relevant now, mate. So you can give me a hard time on that one. So, mate, we'll see you next time. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on once again. And we'll just add that another team to the list, another nobody. Your words.
All right, sounds good. All right, get out of here, Jade. We'll talk to you soon. See you, legend. Oh, God, he's enjoying his time in the sun, Jaden, isn't he? Trish Meddy's come, as he should. Trish Meddy's come through. Audio is better than it was the other week. We do apologise. Your dear friend Boldo is traversing around the world at the moment, being in the UK. So let's hit through some of these comments that we might have missed. And we're going to get the man in. We'll give you a bit of warning 2.0. We're going to give you we're just giving you an open slather 4-minute rant 2.0. So we're not even going to ask you a question or prompt you. You're just going to go and just be like, bang, bang, bang. So 2.0 has said, lol, that's my bad. Something wrong with this. Anyway, 2.0 in his comments says, anyway, outplayed and outcoached. Thought. End of the day, Dogs wanted it more. All right, we'll get him in a second. Sonia quickly's come in saying, happy Sunday, gentlemen. Was there last night, and again, atmosphere was fantastic. Thoughts on Dogs Act by Reed. Unfortunately, Reed is the NRL poster boy for the pest. Part and ratings marketing will hold him in good stead. Our boys simply need to control the game mentally in the first 10 minutes. Again, early doors, however, no time like the present to dominate. That's probably fair. Sonia's through. Again, definitely last night was a show of return to Sharks. Default fade. There we go. That's coming up. Results of being outplayed mentally. And then Sonia comments a little bit more. Trish saying that they should have sin binned Reed Marnie twice in that game. Do you agree with that, Franko?
Yeah, look, I certainly the first one. The second one with the hit on Atkinson, it really did look like a a shoulder to the head of Atkinson while he was laying on the ground. The crowd certainly felt like it. There was definitely a send-off chant. But ultimately, as I was saying before we sort of switched conversations, it would have been nice, again, not that Rudolph had a bad game or any slide on Rudolph, but it would have been nice if that was the HIA that failed, because if that was the one that failed, the NRL has the new rule now where retroactively they can send a player to the bin. So if Rudolph had failed that, Reed probably goes into the bin. And in addition to that, we get Hohepa, 18th man, activated, and so he comes back on. He comes on to play, so we're not a man down, as opposed to Talakai being the one that fails his HIA, and we get no benefit of them losing a player, but we lose a player. So unfortunate there.
All right. Well, look, we've had a comment come through from Sonia saying, yay for the 2.0 rant. All right, 2.0, a regular dial-in and contributor and fan dial-in. But really, 2.0, you are the champion of dialing in and saying g'day to us and giving us your view on the Sharks. What's your view last night, mate? Free open hit. Just give us your full download so I can hit mute so that this party over here in Brighton's not going to distract everyone too much.
No, boys, disappointed more than anything. It was pretty outrageous, to be honest. I said to my boys, the first 40 minutes was one of the greatest games I've seen this year. It was contact, there was heaps of running, there was chances. I thought we played well, but the Dogs just wanted it more. They went longer, they went harder, they went to their plans more on our right edge. I think it was between Nico and Jesse, where we went to our kicking towards Ronnie, but we only did it 3 times in the half. And then we went to Stone Street and he almost scored. And then we didn't go back there at all until I think Kennedy passed it forward in the second half. So we're not sticking to the plan long enough. We looked lost half the time. Nico and Trindle, I thought, had shockers in attack. But other than that, they just wanted it more. And I mean, I said last week to my mates that their half wouldn't even get into Newtown. But they played our 2 halves who were on a lot more money than them. So if you're getting halves that are really willing to outwork you, then there's something wrong in the team. I thought Marnie should have been binned or sent. It's direct contact to the head on the ground when the guy's not looking. You get guys that are accidental head shoulders to the head standing up. He's tucked his arm in and dove at his head. Like, if that's not a binning or a send-off, what is? Then why don't we just start going for heads? Because that's when the referee started losing it as well. That's by no means that we were robbed or anything like that. We were shocking in attack. But the rule is, if you hit the head forcefully, direct contact, you're off the pitch.
At least that's the rule they've tried to enforce lately, right?
But then he started getting Cam and Crichton and saying any more of that. I'm like, well, you're going to lose it now anyway because you haven't forced the rules. Atkinson's not even looking. He's tucked his head down and he's tucked his arm in, shoulder straight to the back of the head. So you're saying that's not a send-off or I think Fossey, was in commentary. He said, reminded him of Filisanti against Fittler in the grand final. Not as, it didn't go head-to-head, but direct contact to the head. So that's
understanding the rugby league rules and that sort of. It's just always baffling and always reasons. Give us your 3-2-1 2.0. Give us a bright spot. Who played well? Who stood out?
I'm going to go one. I'll go Toby. I think he was great off the bench until he got knocked out. I don't think that was a sin bin, to be honest. I thought it was just a careless tackle by Marnie. It was he didn't swing his arm. He just stuck his arm out, and it just happened as he was going across. 2, I'll give to Blake Brayley. I thought his defence was incredible. He had a few great hits. One that knocked the ball out against Tupanua, who was about 30 kilos heavier than him. And 3, I'll give to AFB because I think he just, for 70 minutes, wasn't like Payne Haas style, but he just kept going and going and going. And he just kept getting those quick play the balls, but we just did nothing off the back of it. So that's that.
All right, well, AFB continues. All right, mate. Well, looks like you're at work or somewhere funny, so we'll bid you farewell. We'll say, Bidge, thanks for coming on. We'll maybe have a more upbeat chat next week when the Sharks get a win. So thanks for coming on.
We'll beat Canberra by 30 next week. Don't worry about it.
All right, get on the 51+. All right, 2.0. Thanks for coming in, legend.
See you, boys.
See you, mate. All right, Franko, why don't you round us out? Give us your 3-2-1 on the Sharkies' performance against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, sure. My 3-2-1 in reverse is, look, I'm giving 1 point to McInnes. He traditionally, as you expect from him, tried hard, was in a lot of things. It was almost, I don't dare I say Gal-like, where it seemed like he was in too much, but he just kept turning up and he was the guy that was there. So good effort from him. 2 points goes to, I suppose I got to give it to Fanua Blake. He, like I said, 70 minutes in the middle there, did a great job. And then my 3 goes to Brayley. I thought Brayley had a really good game, especially considering the type of game it was. He was defensively really good, really solid, good service. It's just a shame that we didn't really have much out the back to back anything up there. So yeah, that's probably my 3-2-1.
I think that's probably a fair assessment. Well, look, I'm going to abstain from providing a 3-2-1. I'll just say I thought Fanua Blake was still pretty good from my assessment. All right, Franko. Well, look, we'll be back Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. We're going to have you and me back together again, just the way we like it. We don't get to, given the reduced number of squad that we've got in the ET stand, you and I haven't gotten to do too many shows together, so we'll get to do a Tuesday show together. We might try and work out what happened at the AGM and talk through that. Also preview the Raiders match, and we've probably given enough of a download. And we'll move on from this match. We'll do Lads' socials and maybe find something extra. All right. Well, look. Anything else from you this week, Franko, on the debrief?
Yeah, I've got two things for you.
Two things. All right, let's go.
Two things. One is, I was worried last week because of the anniversary match, and we won. But I didn't know this week was an anniversary match. So the anniversary curse certainly got us. 150th match for Ramian, which was very frustrating. Should have known.
Chris Kelly loves us sucking at those. He always mentions it. Always mentions it.
Yeah, should have known. But then here's one. The Reggie the Rabbit fallout. So we obviously had a bit of a chat about Reggie the Rabbit and what happened at the Souths game, where he pushed a kid, 9-year-old boy, who was reaching out for a high five. Look, no, I'm not putting blame on anyone. I'm not saying anything was not great, but look, he came out and apologized, and it was a bit of a storm in the teacup. Let's be honest. 81-year-old guy in a rabbit suit that been out there in the heat all day, probably can't see what's going on and feels a hand. So you know what? I think we can excuse him for that. However, in terms of overreactions, there is now at the ground for the tunnel a second fence. Second fence that keeps people further away from the tunnel so that they can't reach out and give high fives to players or to whatnot as they run up and down the tunnel. And you know what? After years of seeing kids there line up to stick their hand out and try and get a high five, to see that they're now pushed further away over this is a little bit depressing for me. I'm a bit sad.
Oh, no, Franko, that's like ruined my night. That's just so annoying to think about. Yeah. Why do we do, as a human culture, we do these things and have these complaints in these moments? There's a storm in a teacup.
Hopefully it's one of those things that in a few weeks' time, once everyone's sort of forgotten that it happened, the second fence goes away and we return to a bit of normality. But as it stands, unless it's a mandate from the NRL, geez, I'm a bit upset about this one. I think it's a bit sad that we've gone to these lengths, and I really think we should have just let the kids go and have a bit of fun, right?
That's definitely right. All right. Well, look, the only people who's pushing people on fences is you and me pushing Lats over the fence and trying to get him to sit further away from us, Franko.
Correct.
All right. Well, we'll just wrap it up there. We'll just hit through some of the last comments. Trish Meady's come through, 3 for AFB, 2 for Brayley, and 1 for Toby. Sonia, thank you for getting involved in the comments and all of your support you give to us. Sonia in the comments saying, thank you, gentlemen, for much needed debrief. and after sleeping on it. Well, sometimes you're not as panicky and fired up when you're sleeping on it. Maybe that's a little bit of feedback that we've gotten. It's fun other times when people have said, it's like they just come home and come on the podcast straight after full time and they're really pissed off. I'm like, yes, that is exactly what we do. We are straight on after full time and we are often pissed off. So maybe we're a little bit more subdued this time. Trish Manny's also heading down to Canberra for the game. I hope you have a good time. And Sonia agrees with you there too, Franco. Thanks, Karen, for the whinging and ruining it for the masses. All right. And then, I don't know, go the Dogs, lads. Another good show, gents. Chris, yeah, that's just so mean. We got a few more trollers now too, don't we, Franco?
We do.
We know
success,
Chris,
right?
Well, that's true. It means that we must be doing something. All right. Well, that was the debrief for the Cronulla Sharks going down to the Bulldogs in round 4 of the NRL Telstra Premiership. Don't get worried too much, Sharks fans. There's plenty more football in this season. We won't be worrying about this one come the end of the year. We're still in pretty good form. Get a few troops back in the coming weeks. We'll be good, won't we, Franco? And we will be back on the ET stand live on Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. We will see you guys then. Up, Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.